In the last part, we saw about how the self as Atman manifests as Jnana and Bhakti and as the corresponding gurus and weapons of the Universal Mother. We also mentioned that the Atman is also manifest as Purusha and Prakriti, the fundamental principles of masculine and feminine underlying the universe. So here we will explore a little more on this Purusha and Prakriti. Uh, Fundamentally, Purusha is about Prakasha, which is radiant existence, pure existence, very resplendent. Whereas Prakriti is about Vimarsha, or giving the attributes of name and form to Purusha. Now, for example, in a simple sentence, a fruit is sweet. The word sweet is a property of the fruit. It is sweetness. It's an attribute by which we can know something about the fruit. But the word is simply says that something exists. We do not know what it is. We do not know what its properties are. It is simply is. It is there. So this such sort of pure existence is Purusha, whereas attributes is Prakriti. Now, just as mathematically 2 points will make a line, and this line, since we live in a three-dimensional world, we can draw this line along the axis of width, length, or height. Similarly, the Purusha Prakriti manifests in three different ways. The first is corresponding to a left-right direction. That is to say that Purusha and Prakriti are equal to each other and are well balanced. So in this manifestation, this Purusha Prakriti together is called Shiva. Here, Purusha is Bhava and Prakriti is Bhavani. Here, this represents the state of Purusha Prakriti as they are, that is, as Prakasha and Vimarsha, with equal importance to both of them. In the spiritual part, this means that a person acquires knowledge and the perception to see the entire world only in terms of Purusha and Prakriti alone, without any of their attributes or surrounding attributes. So, this is a very broad worldview where one stops seeing distinctions between everything else and one is ready to enter the paths of Dakshinamurti, that is to acquire the 100% jnana, which is required for moksha. So Lord Shiva is seen as the auspicious one because he is the one that removes all kinds of distinctions or inequalities or anything else that creates a distortion in the way a person perceives the world. So the relief that comes from removing all this distortion is what Shiva is, since Shiva destroys such distortions. So for that reason he is also called auspicious or Shiva. In India, Lord Shiva is enshrined as some of the famous Jyotirlingas, that is self-manifest pillars of light. Such pillars include Kashi Vishwanatha, Kedarnath in Kedar, high in the Himalayan mountains, Rameshwara in the southern end of India, as well as in Mahakaleshwar in Ujjain, Sri Shailam in Andhra Pradesh, where the Lord is Mallikarjuna, and so on and so forth. There are also other famous temples apart from Jyotirlingas. In and around Kumbakonam, probably the most grand temple of Lord Shiva is the Tiruvadaimarudur Mahalingam temple. This is a huge temple with a sprawling area with many praharas and corridors, with many shrines inside it. The Lord is simply known as Mahalingam. It is believed that the Lord performed puja to the lingam himself, and this is only one of three kshetras where the Lord is enshrined along with the Arjuna or Mardu tree. One is Adi Mardu in Sri Shailam, Andhra Pradesh, which is a Jyotirlinga. The second is Madhyarjuna or Idai Mardu, which is Tirudai Mardu. And the last is Kadai Mardu or Pudai Mardu, which is seen as Tirupudai Mardu near Tirunelveli. So given these, the Lord is enshrined as Tirupudai Mardu or Madhyarjuna in this temple as Mahalingam, and the lingam by itself with its Pitam and the Banam represents the Purusha and Prakriti aspects of Lord Shiva. The Lord is also seen along with consort Brahat Sundara Kuchamba, who forms the Prakriti aspect of this. In Tiruvallur, the major form of Shiva is Lord Tyagaraja, which is itself an Utsava form of the Prithvi Lingam Manvikanatha. And in this form, Lord Tyagaraja is shown seated as Soma Skandamurti, that is as Shiva along with Uma and Skanda. And this Shiva and Uma represents the primordial Purusha Prakriti, while Skanda represents the union of Purusha and Prakriti. The two sitting on the same pedestal signifies their equivalence as the right-left dimension. And already, as mentioned in the introduction, Lord Tyagaraja was first worshipped by Lord Vishnu before being given to Indra and then to the King Muchukunda, and then he was finally installed at Tiruvallur. Now, the Lord Tyagaraja himself states that there are 24 important Shiva shrines, and that the most special among all of these is Tiruvallur, because mere darshan in Tiruvallur gives the effects of performing various rituals in all the 23 places. Similarly, Lord Tyagaraja has enacted 364 Leelas or divine plays in Tiruvallur. This is a huge number when compared to the 64 Leelas or Tiruvilayadal that the Lord enacted in Madurai. The next dimension of Purusha Prakriti after the left side Shiva is a front back dimension. Here too Purusha and Prakriti are supposedly equivalent, except that Purusha has taken the back seat as a sublime role, whereas Prakriti has become more expressive and become the front or the face of Purusha. So this is best seen as the depiction called Shakti. So this orientation itself is called Shakti, and here the best depiction of Shakti is as Kali, where the mother, that is the Shakti or the Prakriti aspect, is seen standing over the Purusha aspect, showing that the Prakriti is much more expressive even though both are equally important. So with this aspect in mind, what happens here is that the inequality, an apparent sense of inequality has been created, though they both are equal. And now what happens? Purusha remains static and remains as the pure existence, whereas Prakriti evolves. Prakriti evolves and acquires more concepts. It manifests as different concepts. This is like a mind map of creation before actually creating the universe. So these concepts are what are known in later stages as aksharas, which represent the 51 letters of the Sanskrit alphabet. Now, Shakti by itself represents the stage of evolution. So, in the spiritual path, Shakti also represents the stage where person gets broader and broader worldviews and perceptions, leading finally to the Shiva stage, which is the broadest perception of seeing as Purusha and Prakriti, which will finally lead to Jnana. In India, Shakti Pitas are installed in many places. The number of Shakti Pita itself varies. Some say 108, some say 51, some say 64, some say 18. Nevertheless, the most important Shakti Pitas are Varanasi, Visalakshi, then there's Kolhapur Mahalakshmi, Sharda in Kashmir, Kamakya in Assam, and Sri Shailam Brahmarambika, and a few other Shakti Pitas. In and around Kumbakonam, there are many temples, many Shiva temples housing Shakti, and many independent Shakti temples itself. And one important such temple is Tirishakti Mutram near Patishwaram, which is approachable by bus from Kumbakonam. And Tirishakti Mutram is a temple where Shakti as Parvati was in penance towards attaining Lord Shiva, which is when Lord Shiva appeared in the form of fire. Shakti embraced this and is seen embracing the linga till today in this temple. So this is called Tirishakti Mutram, and this Lord Shiva here is called Shakti Vaneshwara. And this form of the goddess is a very rare form to see, and this temple represents the concept of Shakti in and around Kumbakonam. In Tiruvallur, while Kamalamba represents the universal mother, which is the powers of Purusha and Prakriti and beyond Shiva, Shakti and all the other deities, the Kamalamba assumed the form of Parvati. Wanting to marry Shiva, was undergoing very deep penance, where Lord Shiva finally appeared and promised to marry Kamalamba, and in the married form she is seen as Nilotpalamba, which represents the Shakti aspect in Tiruvallur. Nilotpalamba shrine is seen beside the Tyagaraja shrine, and while the Kamalamba temple is seen as a separate unit, the main Ambika for Tiruvallur forms Nilotpalamba. The Nilotpalamba name represents the blue lily. This is a state of the mind where it is neither fully open nor fully closed, represents a state of meditative introspection, and this is the reason why the goddess is seen with the particular name. The final orientation of Purusha Prakriti is as top down, That is here, this apparent inequality between Purusha and Prakriti grows even further, so much so that Purusha being pure takes a higher level, and Prakriti having been evolved into all the various aspects and concepts now becomes a lower level in a way that Purusha controls Prakriti. Here the Prakriti becomes Nara or man, whereas Purusha represents the end point of man, which is called Narayana. So this Narayana is the fundamental God-man relationship. So together the Narayana part is seen as Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu is the stage of Purusha Prakriti where it has manifested and evolved completely. So the Maya or the delusion which caused this apparent inequality is manifest in its fullest. This is the reason why Vishnu is also called Mayon. So Lord Vishnu or Lord Narayana is the third orientation of Purusha Prakriti. All over India, there are many famous temples of Lord Narayana. The prime one is in Badrinath, where Lord Narayana himself gave the Narayana Ashtakshari mantra, and one can see Narayana as the twin mountain peaks. There is also Lord Narayana temple in Srirangam, where the Lord is reclining just as he is in Vaikuntham, representing the closest form one can see to Vaikuntham. So Srirangam is called Bhuloka Vaikuntham. The Lord is also enshrined in Tirumala, so the Tirumala temple is called Kaliyuga Vaikuntham. And there are many other such temples all over India which are famous. Particularly, these have been compiled into a list of 108 Divya Deshams, which are spread all over India. One of the Divyadeshams, one of the main important Divyadeshams, is present in the heart of Kumbakonam, and this is the Sarangapani temple, which forms the main Narayana temple in this region. The Lord is seen reclining just as he is in Srirangam. In fact, among the reclining forms of the Lord, this Sarangapani is seen second only to Srirangam in importance all over India. And the Lord is seen holding the bow or the Saranga, and here the tale of the Lord is about a particular Bhrigu who had asked a boon from the Lord for Mahalakshmi to be born as the daughter, and the Lord finally accepted this, and after the suitable time came, the Lord married Mahalakshmi as the form of Komalavalli and is then enshrined in this temple as Sarangapani. This temple is a huge temple, just very similar in size and features to the Adi Kumbheshwara temple, and these two together form the central and core temples of Kumbakonam, situated right in the heart of the city. In Tiruvallur, the Lord is manifest as Jalashaina Mahavishnu, and we have, as we had already seen in the introduction, this Lord is enshrined here for two reasons. One, on the request of Indra to save the Devas from a particular demon, and second, to stay here in the Chaturmasa period, and also to save the Shweta Dvipa from the ravages of Kali Yuga. Here the Lord stays for 4 months, and the Lord cannot be seen anywhere else for a period of 4 months between Hindu Ashada and Kartika months, and this forms the major shrine of the Lord in Tiruvallur as Vishnu. This is as powerful as any other Divyadesham such as Badrinath or Srirangam or Tirupati, because the Lord has graced it with his own presence in the 4 months to the exclusion of all the other places. Finally, when the three orientations of Purusha Prakriti are manifest, the mind map, the three orientations can be best viewed as a mind map, which is a non-physical way of manifestation. The physical creation has not yet started. Bearing this in mind, the last orientation, that is the Vishnu orientation, as top-down orientation, now manifests as the union of Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha and Prakriti, so longer they were seen to be separate entities, are now merged into a single entity. So this merging is called Kala, or particularly Kama Kala. And Kama Kala in the human body represents the Purusha and Prakriti. Here Purusha representing the Sahasrara at the crown of the head, which is seen as a chakra or energy center, whereas Prakriti is the Mooladhara chakra seen at the base of the body, that is near the Mooladhara chakra. The Kundalini is the coiled serpent, which represents Prakriti in this case, and the rise of the Kundalini from Mooladhara to Sahasrara represents the spiritual path, while it finally merges with Lord Shiva. So this merging is again the same Kamakala. So after the merging, the Kundalini has completed its journey, which means the person transcends to an out of the body perspective. In other words, the person starts seeing the objective view of the body and mind, that is, as not his or him, but something different, where he identifies the his or him only with the self, which is the Atman or the Lord. So this stage of Kamakala as a transition between non-physical and physical creation is viewed as Renuka. This Renuka, which is the Kundalini Shakti, or it's also called Vajra Vairochini or Vajreshi, is seen among the Dashamahavidyas as Chinnamasta, which is shown here with a severed head. The severed head represents that the Kundalini has risen and he has cut all the bondages of the body in all the in-between chakras and has crossed the Sahasrara finally. And the energy seen here, that is the blood, which represents the energy of the Kundalini, is being drunk by the goddess, whose face is held in her own hands, and the bliss in the face represents the bliss that one attains after crossing the various chakras and various limitations. So in mythology, Chinnamasta is seen as an aspect of Renuka, which is the mother of Parashurama, one of the incarnations of Lord Vishnu. Apart from various tales and mythologies connected with this character, one sees in a particular incident where Renuka instigated Jamadagni, the father of Lord Parashurama, who asked Parashurama subsequently to behead Mother Renuka. And Renuka, on virtue of this and on virtue of various penances that she had performed earlier towards Lord Shiva, had attained the status of a deity and had attained complete liberation, and represents the power of Kundalini Shakti. In India, Chinnamasta is enshrined in certain temples such as in Himachal Pradesh, Chintapurni, as well as a Chinnamasta temple in Rajadappa. The Renuka Devi is also seen in temples such as Saundatti in Karnataka, as well as Mahur in Maharashtra, which is one of the 18 main Shakti Peethas. In and around Kumbakonam, one sees Ellaiamman, that is Renuka Devi, in Tanjavur. This is following the custom of Renuka seen as the border goddess or Ellaiamman in many cities all around South India, where here also she forms the border guardian for the city of Tanjavur, and this is seen near the South Street. Here the goddess is seen with the decapitated head as well as a full form as a form of Shakti herself. Subsequently, in Tiruvarur, one sees Renuka guarding the city of Tiruvarur in the place called Vijayapuram, which is near the bus stand, and represents the same concept of Renuka here as Chinnamasta as well as the border deity. Now here also one sees the same situation where Lord Parashurama, it is also believed that Parashurama's axe is in the temple. This is how the Skanda Purana mentions it. So Renuka Devi is seen as the involving in the same episode connected with Parashurama's beheading the mother's head. So for this reason, this Renuka Devi is seen as powerful as the shrine in Saundatti. So finally, the Purusha and Prakriti merging as Kamakala in this transition stage of Renuka is ready to manifest physically. Physically, this manifests as the first seed. The seed is called Bindu, and the Lord corresponding to this is called Skanda, which means compilation or compiled or combined. And Skanda is also known as Murugan because by nature the Lord is sweet, and Skanda is also known as Subramanya because he is pleased or he is affectionate towards the Brahmins who engage in pursuit of understanding the Brahman or Parabrahman. Now Skanda is seen as the fundamental seed or Parabindu, which is at the very start of material creation and existence. In the spiritual path, Skanda also represents the path of jnana, the path of awareness, that is pure existence and attributes combined together giving that awareness. And so Skanda forms Guru Guha, which is nothing but the secret Guru or secret teacher, which means Skanda points inwards towards Purusha Prakriti and finally towards Atman as the source of what one has to attain, or as showing the direction in which one has to go to attain self-realization. As such, Skanda is also seen to destroy all the unrealities and in the physical space. So for that reason, Skanda is also seen as an aspect of fire or Agni, as also the warrior god. Skanda is seen enshrined in Swami Malai among many other places. Mainly the 6 places in Tamil Nadu form the Adapade Veedu, which are main temples of Skanda. One among them is Swami Malai, where this is an episode where Skanda himself taught the meaning of Omkara or Pranava to his father Lord Shiva after imprisoning Brahma for having not known the meaning of this despite being the creator. So here Skanda plays the role of Guru or Guru Guha, and it is seen as an aspect of Jnana. Swami Malai is seen at around 6 kilometers from Kumbakonam, and this temple is the central highlight of the entire town. In Tiruvarur, Skanda is seen as Balasubramania, and as already explained earlier, the Skanda here is connected with the incident of Vel or Shakti falling in the place called Hatakeshwara after Samharam of various demons in Tiruchendur. In that connection, Lord Skanda stabilized the tremors caused because of this Vel, and finally is enshrined as Balasubramania in the shrine right next to the Navagrahas. Lord Skanda is also seen as an integral part of Soma Skanda in Tyagaraja, as well as also as a sixth faced god in a shrine just behind the Kamalamba shrine. Finally, the Bindu now starts to vibrate. The Bindu acquires energy and starts vibrating because this vibration forms the essence, the starting point of any activity, any physical activity. This vibration is called Pranava because Pranava is what gives rise to Prana, and so as the primordial vibration or Nada. This is the well-known sound of Om. In modern physics, it is known as the universal wave function because this wave function is a signal, that is, it's a quantity that varies with space and time. It is spread through the entire universe, and using this quantity, one can find any property or any information about any particle at any point and any time. So, this universal wave function, which is Nada or Pranava, is seen as Ganesha. His trunk, his curved trunk, typically denotes the shape of Omkara, and the elephant head is a symbolism for wisdom. Now, in the spiritual path, Ganesha represents the point where one transcends all different gunas, variations, and etc., and arrives at a singularity. That is, one no longer has any preference towards any particular characteristics or attributes, but rather views everything equally, and only aim that one has is to transcend all of these. So, for that reason, Ganesha is known as Vinayaka, which is the one without a superior, or the one who is the single one as the source of all gunas, qualifications, all matter, all creation, etc. etc. Here, the god is seen as an embodiment of Pranava, and together with Skanda form the two sons of Lord Shiva, representing the static and dynamic aspects of the fundamental seed. Now, throughout India, Ganesha remains a very popular god and is enshrined in thousands of temples all across the country, including small temples in every single village and city, where practically one can say that there is absolutely no village without a temple of Lord Ganesha. And with that being the case, there are shrines of Lord Ganesha, most popularly seen in Maharashtra, where there are the 8 shrines of Lord Vinayaka called Ashtavinayaka, some of the more important ones being Moreshwar and Ranjangaon Mahaganapati. And so these are the principal shrines of Lord Vinayaka in India. Now, around Kumbakonam, at around 2 kilometers from Swamimalai, one finds the shrine of Shweta Vinayaka in Tiruvalanchudi. According to the mythology, the Devas and Asuras once churned together the Mount Mandara to extract the Amrita, and in this process, while churning this Mount Mandara placed on the sea, the sea ladder, the sea foam together formed an idol of Lord Vinayaka, which was apparently in Indra's possession as the king of Devas for many days. When Indra finally decided to bring it to the earth, the idol stationed itself firmly in this place of Tiruvalanchuri, and wouldn't move from this place, and so was finally enshrined here itself. So this idol of Lord Vinayaka is made out of sea foam. It is a Swayambhu, meaning it is self-formed, and this is also seen along with the shrines of Lord Shiva as Kapaldishwara and as Ambal as Brihannayaki. This is a huge temple of Tiruvalanchuri, with the Lord Vinayaka being famously worshipped for Ganesha Chaturthi and other important festival days. Finally, in Tiruvarur, one sees Mooladhara Ganapati as the shrine of Ganapati. This is seen in the northern and western part of the Praharam, right next to the Anandeshwara shrine. And here the Lord is seen as in a very blissful posture of dance, where the Lord is tilted sideways. Apparently the Lord is seated on a coiled serpent, which is further placed on a lotus, the lotus representing the Mooladhara chakra, from where the Kundalini Shakti rises. So for this reason the Lord is called Mooladhara Ganapati. And together with this, the Lord also represents the highest point that the Kundalini rises, that is Ajna Chakra in the third eye, before merging with the Sahasrara in the crown, which is represented of course by Lord Shanmukha. The Mooladhara Ganapati is, as seen already in the introduction, created by Goddess Parvati before all the four yugas, and is arguably the oldest shrine of Lord Ganesha in the entire world. This Lord is seen primarily with the elephant face, and according to this Kandapurana, is part of three shrines installed by Goddess Parvati. One is Heramba Ganapati, which is a five-faced Lord Ganesha seen within the Tyagaraja shrine. The other is Martyara, and the final form of Ganesha is Mokshara, which is the Mooladhara Ganapati itself. It is called by this name because this is famous for bestowing moksha or liberation. Finally, understanding the Nada, that is Ganesha, Bindu, Skanda, and Kala, that is Renuka, as being forms of the Purusha Prakriti, and also understanding that through all these, the last orientation of Purusha Prakriti, that is Vishnu, pervades. One understands finally that the Purusha Prakriti, manifesting as Vishnu, also has two important aspects which further manifest to control the world and to operate the world. These are the aspects that in physical dimension one sees as space and time, or as sound and light. Among these, space or sound corresponds to Varaha, the third incarnation of Vishnu. This is particularly the tendency of expansion, the tendency of orderliness that gives rise to such a concept of space, because it is the expansion that created the space after the Big Bang. And Varaha represents this aspect of Lord Vishnu. Similarly, the aspect of time is seen by Lord Narasimha, which is the factor of entropy, which causes a system to disintegrate and decay and ultimately meet its end, because everything that starts has to ultimately finish with an end. And this also represents the cyclic nature, that is the not linear or non-linear nature of time, as also the destructive aspect of time. Similarly, it also represents the light or the force of radiation. So this represents the destructive aspect, whereas Varaha represents the creative aspect. Similarly, as Varaha represents sound, Narasimha represents light. Finally, as Varaha represents space, Narasimha represents time, because time is the ultimate destroyer of everything. Now, in Kumbakonam, one sees Varaha as Adi Varaha, seen along with Lord Lakshmi, and this is the place where Lord Varaha began to dig the earth to finally encounter the Asura Hiranyaksha, who had hidden the earth under the depths of the cosmic ocean. And Varaha took this incarnation to restore the earth back to its normal path of creation and expansion. So this temple of Adi Varaha is seen near the Sarangapani temple in the heart of Kumbakonam, whereas Narasimha is enshrined in Tanjavur as the Divya Desham. This Divya Desham is on the outskirts of Tanjore on the road to Kumbakonam, and it has three shrines of Lord Vishnu enshrined as a single Divya Desham. These three shrines correspond to the Lord destroying three asuras, of which one of them was Tanjaka Asura, after which the place is named. So after three shrines, one particular shrine of the Lord is as Veera Narasimha. The Lord is seen in a majestic pose, seated and ready to slay the asuras. And here, after successfully slaying the asuras, the Lord is worshipped here as Veera Narasimha. Finally, in Tiruvallur, one finds Varaha enshrined in the eastern Gopuram, along with all the other Dashavataras, whereas Narasimha is enshrined in the panel of the western Gopuram along with Lord Rama and many other forms of Lord Shiva as well as Vishnu. And here Lord Narasimha is seen as an Ugra Narasimha, slaying the Asura Hiranyakashipu after emerging from the pillar or stamba, whereas Lord Prahalada, his prime devotee, watches nearby in full devotion and bhakti. So this concludes the series of Shiva Shakti Vishnu as well as Nada Bindu Kala, and we shall proceed with the next part into how the physical creation manifests into the various forms of matter and energy that we are used to seeing today.